back on our heads, just like Moses had a veil. A veil, okay. Netherlands, okay, had a veil to cover the shining face. They're in the flesh and want us to go back there again. I agree with that. They want to put a veil over the Scriptures, and that's a good way of putting that. Pastor Mike, is there significance in Sunday being the 8th day? Absolutely. It is the first day of the week. First things belong to God. It is also the 8th day. It marks new beginnings. That's why circumcision was to be done on the 8th day. It marks a brand new life, a new beginning. What was covered, and I don't have to describe circumcision. What was covered by way of the Old Testament, now the veil has been removed in the New Testament. Okay, that is an excellent, and it's done on the 8th day. Anyway, Rashonda writes in, I've heard that the reason Christians worship on Sunday is because on Pentecost believers met on the first day of the week, which would be Sunday. That's another way of doing it. Let's see here. Terry says Joel is so sheepish. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Patty writes in, hi Patty, how you doing? Yup, I agree with you and your thoughts about Jolie boy. Jolie boy? Okay. Adam, hey Pastor Mike, as Baptists we believe the plain teaching of the Scripture in that drinking any amount of alcohol is a sin. What do you make of Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 25? It almost sounds like the passage is promoting it. Some preachers would probably use this passage and say drinking alcohol is okay. Deuteronomy chapter 14. You know what? I'm going to look that one up. Deuteronomy chapter 14. Open up my can of King James Bible here. And Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 25. Then shalt thou turn in, let's see here. Am I in the right chapter? Deuteronomy 14, 25. Then shalt thou turn it into money, and bind up the money in thine hand, and shalt go into the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. Thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth, and thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God. Thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household, and the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part nor inheritance with thee. Now, let me say this concerning wine. The word wine is a generic word. It means from the vine, so it could include non-alcoholic versus alcoholic. However, the verse does say strong drink. Now, let me tell you this, and I'm always hesitant to do this because there's some people I know of that are alcoholics, and they need to stay about 1.5 billion miles away from anything that looks like, smells like, or acts like alcohol. There are a couple of places in the Scriptures, you can find them, they're pretty easily found, where wine or strong drink can be given in a very limited way, similar to the way some medications are used today, either as an ailment, as something that helps an ailment. Use a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thy oft infirmities. Okay, old timers back before we had SmithKline, and back before we had Glaxo Pharmaceuticals, and back before we had Eli Lilly, and back before we had all these big pharmaceutical companies, old timers would mix alcohol with various things, and they would take that to relieve ailments. Okay. There is an exception in I believe it's in the book of Proverbs, talking about giving a strong drink to someone who is of deep sorrow or someone who is ready to die. We think nothing of giving morphine to someone who's dying of cancer in extreme pain. We think nothing of taking antidepressants, things like that. Whether it's herbal antidepressants or pharmaceutical antidepressants, people think nothing of it, something that will aid and help in someone who is under very, very, very deep sorrow. I would say that this passage would then refer in those ways, okay? Because I just know what the Bible cannot contradict itself. And I know that there is a law, especially concerning the Levite priest, that they were to never wine or strong drink, especially in the temple proceedings, so that they could discern between clean and unclean. Wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging. Whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. And if I was undergoing surgery, I would think nothing about pre-surgical sedatives, what they give you to put you to sleep, to operate on you, and post-surgical pain relievers. I would think nothing of it. They're prescribed, and that is one of the things. They're prescribed, which means that they can be controlled. Okay, alcohol, anybody can buy alcohol. And so anyway, that would be my sort of explanation for that. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let me go to Adam. Thanks for reminding me, Adam. I'm really looking forward to your upcoming teaching on the gifts of the Spirit straight from the Bible. Hadn't got there yet. Okay, next week, I found the Holy Grail. Okay, NASA and the Holy Grail is coming out next week. I made the notes for it today. You got to see this. Okay, you got to see it. Okay, so it's still in the works. I just thought I'd point out Revelation 19:10 to you because it talks about the spirit of prophecy, and I appreciate that. Joanne. Hi, Joanne. It's hard to understand why a pastor would actively promote getting tattoos. It's very clearly condemned in the Scriptures. She says, I myself have 2 tattoos, but I got them long before I got saved. I don't regret them because they serve as a reminder of how deep into sin I was and how grateful I am to the Lord for saving me. And you know what? That's a good thing. Paul said he bears on his body the marks. And I don't believe Paul went around and got tattoos. But yeah, the scars of our past are reminders of how things used to be. And appreciate that. She says, Robert and I continue to pray for baby Adeline and the rest of the Hoggard family. I appreciate it. I really do. It gets into days. I've just spent a lot of time this morning praying, reading Scripture. And so anyway, I really appreciate that. Zaphnath Pa'aniah. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to find out this guy's real name. But anyway, Zaphnath Pa'aniah says, is there anything redeemable of the Catholic religion? I haven't found it. It's full of idols, full of drunkenness, full of perversion, full of sodomy, full of child molestation, it is the hold of every foul and hateful and unclean bird. Okay? I have not found any redemption other than a few priests and a few nuns who come out of her and say, you know what? We're not going back in that. And so I would say that. Chris, sure glad I got to listen today. Don't get a chance too much. Been busy. I got a lot of catching up on earlier radio and video broadcasts. God bless you and your ministry, your precious granddaughter. I really appreciate that. Let's see here. Last one, unless you guys just jump in here with about 30 more emails here real quick. Continuing in prayer, this is from Gina and all of you. I think I saw a headline recently about Ted Haggard swapping his wife with someone else on a reality show. I never followed this guy, and I don't see how anyone could. Thank you so much. This guy is, I'm just telling you, Ted Haggard now is out there on a wife swap, which, I mean, I don't know if you're not familiar with American lingo, Americana. Back years ago, people would have wife swapping parties. Literally, married couples would go to somebody's house, and one man would take somebody else's wife into a room, and some guy would take his wife into a room. That was wife swap. And so they invent this show, and of course, you know, it doesn't have anything to do with that. But it's about trading wives for a couple weeks, and I think it's absolutely disgusting. Here's Ted Haggard doing this wife swapping show. He's on a reality show. Now Joel is out there, and he's Mr. Popularity, people. He's out there. He's going to have his own reality TV show, and everybody's going to be watching Joel. And, oh, by the way, homosexuals can still go to heaven. And, oh, by the way, God accepts everybody. And I think he is their guy. I think he is their guy. Okay? So I think it is important for us as watchers to blow the trumpet on guys like Osteen, Ellen White, the Pope, and Lady Gaga, and everybody else that comes along. I made this comment to someone after Thursday's broadcast. And Linda writes in, are you still working on the number 72? Yes, I have. You wouldn't believe how the pages of notes I have on the number 72. I'm just waiting for the right time, and God will say, go, and then I'll go. But let me say this. I was in a conversation with someone after last week's broadcast, and I don't know if I came across as being rough or anything like that, and I won't talk about what it was they were discussing. But I sort of apologetically said this. I said, look, it's very clear to me, and it became clear to me one day, that this ministry that God has given me is a Watchman ministry. That's why I call it that. It is a Watchman ministry. God has put me up on a wall. Now, I don't cover the whole wall. Okay? There's some things that are just not really my expertise. But God has put me on the section of the wall, and He's put a trumpet in my hand. That's the King James Bible. It's the one with the certain sound. And I love this, because when you're listening to a talk radio, you're listening to Christian radio, or you go to visit some church, and they start reading out of the Bible, immediately you're going, I know that's not King James. I wonder what translation of the day it is. But I guarantee you, when someone opens up a King James and starts reading of it, immediately you go, that's the King James. Am I right? I'm right, right? And so anyway, my trumpet that I use makes a certain sound, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows what that sounds like, okay? It has the word hath in it. No other Bible has the word hath in it but the King James Bible. And so anyway, I'm up on that wall. And the farther off that I can see, the better off everybody is. I would rather sound an alarm when something is far away rather than when it's too close to deal with. But as a watchman, and I described it like this, as a watchman up on that wall, I'm looking out. And if I see a shrub, it's sort of like deer hunting. Okay? When you're sitting out on a deer stand, you're watching and you're listening. Okay, so you can't have headphones on deer hunting. You can't be reading books and, playing cards or whatever. You can't be doing that while you're deer hunting. You're sitting there in a deer stand, a tree stand, a blind or whatever. You're sitting there and you're looking. You're looking for something to move in the woods. You're listening for leaves moving. You're on alert. And I'm a watchman, and I'm watching and if I see a twig move, I'm going to go, what is that? I'm automatically suspicious. And that's my job. Now, somebody else may not have to be that suspicious. But the guy up on the wall, when something doesn't look right, when something's out of the ordinary, when something just doesn't click right, they may not know immediately what it is, but they are on guard and they're watching. And they're not going to wait for it to come within 10 feet. Hopefully they'll be able to see it and identify it a long way away. And that's what I want to do. Lori, you get the last one of the day. Hiya, Pastor. Hiya, Lori. The more evil and wicked our society gets, the more I can't help but think about how much more evil it was in Noah's time. And if we have to reach that, oy vey! And Lori can say that. She can say, oy vey! Because she's Jewish, okay? Anyway, I need to play some blob music. Where is the blob music? Here it is, right there. All right. Good to be with you today. And, we got one more here. Barbara's wanting to know what my take is on the Duggar family. I don't know. I've only got 5 kids. Okay? I don't have 20. I know somebody that knows them, and I'll ask that question. But I don't know anything about them. I like their standards. Seem like they have a good attitude, and I guarantee you that they still maintain a certain level of privacy in their lives. The problem with most reality shows is they want to just show everything. Anyway, good to be with you today. I love you, and I really do appreciate you. And follow our tweets on visitbethelchurch.com to keep up with what's going on with baby Adeline. Please keep us in your prayers.